So for most of those who know me at all, I've spent most of my career what I call watching two ships in the night pass each other. One side is what I call the mobile cellular voice ship. This is the world that basically delivered us all our mobile voice services that we've come to depend on. The other part of the world has been this mobile Wi-Fi data world. And I've always said these two worlds have been kind of separated, pretty much ignoring each other. I used to call up the cellular guys every now and then. They never returned my calls until about 5 years ago. I got my first call back from a big cellular operator who had become interested in Wi-Fi. And their interest became with all the mobile devices. And we all have iPhone and Apple to thank for it. Because with the introduction of the iPhone and mobile devices, we've actually started the next major innovation cycle. And this is around mobilizing the internet. We spent 20 years mobilizing voice. We're going to spend the next 20 years mobilizing the internet. And part of that big change that we're seeing, personally for myself, in addition to having the big mobile operators call me, I now have attended my first hospitality conference, my first retail conference, and my first transportation conference. And it's really around the change that's happening around how we use indoor location. What Steve mentioned, when I first started indoor location 10 years ago, it was really around asset tracking. Indoor location became kind of a very niche healthcare, manufacturing use case. What we're seeing happening right now in this innovation cycle is really, as we move our usage from outdoors to indoors, is bringing that Wi-Fi user experience on par with cellular in terms of roaming, and also bringing the indoor location experience on par with outdoor GPS and cellular. So that is a big transition we're in. Today we have some very honored members from the industry to help us talk through that subject. When you look at this slide, what I see happening around what I call the detect portion, this is location presence. These are all the retail guys and the airport guys who want to use location now to track what's happening inside their venues. When you look at what's happening around the connect portion, this is how we move between cellular and Wi-Fi. And then we look at what's happening on the engage portion. This is really how we are going to start getting information in different ways inside these indoor venues, right? And you look at the bottom of this, indoor location is kind of the foundation of that new mobile experience. When you look above that, we have kind of the technology that's going inside the phones. We have maps and how that's going to work out. And then we have the ecosystem of actually the venues and how the venues are going to play a role in this ecosystem.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Duncan. I'm the founder and CEO at Micello. We're on a very simple mission. We want to map out every interesting building on the planet. We've built the world's largest collection of indoor maps. So indoor maps, we're talking about shopping malls, retail stores, hospitals, college campus buildings, parking garages, business campuses, all the indoor places. So the moment you go inside, we want to be there with indoor map data. We've been around for a couple years. I started the company when I was in college a couple years back. And today we have over 20,000 venues in our collection. That's roughly about 100,000 buildings in 30 or so different countries. And we do two things with the data. First, we license to some of the other mapping companies out there. If you've seen other mapping providers go indoors, it's because they've licensed data from us. And second, we offer a Maps API so that anyone can tap into it and add indoor content to their solution. What I wanted to show you here on the slide is what we're really doing behind the scenes. Most of our customers don't see this. We do all the map making internally. What we're doing is collecting all kinds of data about a building. Because the funny thing is, indoor maps are already there. Every building has a CAD drawing. Every building has evacuation maps. But the problem is that the data is very restricted. It's locked on the wall. It's stuck. It's pasted there. And it's in a printed format. It can't be used intelligently. What we do is capture all kinds of data about a building, run it through our mapping software. It's our internal operations team, where we literally break it apart and recompile it with all the proper map attributes. It's all vector-based. We have the navigation data on top. We add some POI data on top. And we provide it in a very structured output, whether it's through our API or in different mapping formats, whether it's shape files, KMLs, GeoJSONs, whatever a customer may need. And this is a very repeatable process. It's very scalable. So whether we do 500 places a day, 10,000 places a day, doesn't really matter. It's really a function of business demand. Our customers tend to be either the mapping and location platforms on one hand, or the venues themselves. Walmart, for example, used our maps last year where we mapped out 3,800 stores in about 6 weeks so that they could help you find the top deals in the store. We just signed a deal with AMC movie theaters. They want to help you find your seat at a movie theater so you can check out a seat and reserve your seat from your mobile phone. We work with the 49ers so that the in-stadium experience can be better. You can order food to your seat. So we believe that there's a phenomenal amount of things that can happen in location indoors, but the key component, the key enabler for any indoor location-based service is the map. And we're focused on building that mapping platform to enable the next generation of location-based services.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Conroy. I lead all of the location, technology, and products and connectivity at Qualcomm. Our view is, as you probably heard earlier in this morning's presentation, location is really transitioning from an outdoor navigation-based experience, E911 driven, to indoor. And in the outdoor arena, the technologies were more, as this slide says, GPS-based or satellite-based. And then on the top right, on the indoor, it's really about leveraging every possible asset on the mobile device to make position location work more accurately, with lower power, with faster time to fix. So it's really our vision. It's a hybriding or a fusion or a combination of cellular signals, Wi-Fi signals, Bluetooth, possibly even camera signals, inertial sensors which are on the phone. So taking advantage of everything that's on the phone for no additional cost to the user, combined with all kinds of cloud and network assistance, which can give context information, venue information, other kinds of information. So it's really the fusion of that network and context information combined with the signals on the phone to deliver the best possible indoor and outdoor ubiquitous location. We also categorized applications into more foreground, you see on the top here, and background on the bottom. So foreground is more the traditional one position fix every second, so navigation, walking around a mall, walking indoors and outdoors, where typically the display is on and you're seeing the blue dot on the map. There's also a lot of very interesting applications around context awareness, which is more background location and always on. So those are more around, for example, applications that mobile advertisement can take advantage of, geofences, which is really a virtual boundary around a certain area. You get an electronic notification when you enter or exit. So those tend to be where power is extremely important, and it really combines the context of the user, and they typically are always on the phone. So really our vision is that both the foreground applications as well as these always-on background applications are really going to be key to enabling a whole class of new user experiences, again, leveraging the mobile sensors in a broad sense combined with the network assets.
My name is Dave Huntingford. I'm responsible for location products at CSR. And really, to echo a lot of the comments that have been made so far, there are many applications for location, be it smart building, bring your own device into the enterprise. And because of this wide distribution of applications for location, it also creates issues with fragmentation that I'll touch on at the end of this slide. So our aim is to really create a platform that's capable of fusing multiple technologies. And as Steve addressed, a lot of these are very complementary. So the MEMS sensors have very good short-term accuracy, long-term's pretty poor. Wi-Fi is the opposite. So they're naturally technologies that complement each other to create high-quality indoor positioning. And I think the exciting thing for me is we're really seeing a point where within 12 months' time, you're going to start to see handsets in the market that truly can know where you are and your context within a handful of meters all of the time. So whether or not the screen is on, even when the device is in your pocket, there's a potential there that the phone can know if you're walking, are you running, are you in an elevator, or if you're using the phone, is it to your head, in your hand, on your belt? This is all data that can be pulled from the MEMS sensors on the phone. So this is really going to go ahead and start to enable some very interesting applications. And you can imagine that for a product such as a wearable piece of electronics, and the most commonly cited example is Google Glass. Well, if I take a platform like Google Glass and I have high quality indoor positioning, from the MEMS sensors I also have azimuth and elevation, so I know what you're looking at. So then if I start to see this, the use of the vision technology, I can very quickly start to use the camera to range the corners of a room. And I can start to figure out, as I'm walking through a building, what is the map of the building as you're progressing through it. So some very powerful applications for this technology that I expect to see over the next couple of years. Now, the question of what are we locating and how are we locating? Again, a lot of fragmentation. It's people, it's valuable items, mobile phones, maybe it's specialized for healthcare. But also, what is the definition of location? Its simplest consumer understandable application is kind of 1 hertz navigation with a map. You look at the map, you see where you are in the shopping mall. But then there's also proximity positioning, absolute positioning, and maybe the pull-through application for this technology is back-end big data, because the value is really captured in knowing how people walk through shopping malls and how you use that data to decide what marketing content to push to the person. So there's some interesting questions here on human impact. Is it useful content that will get delivered, or is it just simply viewed as more spam? And there are some very good examples of using location, indoor location. One of them is if you suffer from asthma, you can get on your smartphone and you can say, I've had to use my inhaler here because I've detected, the air's not so good. Well, that's a really useful database if you're an asthma sufferer. So those kind of applications that can run in the phone, I think will really propel this technology to the front. Now, fragmentation, different companies have different end goals for location. So we create the technology, it has a lot of possibilities, but if you think about even the most simple application like a shopping mall, there are very different objectives there. If you're Macy's and you've rolled out an application for indoor positioning, you want to try to keep the consumer in your shop and you're pointing them to useful items they may want to buy. Whereas for, say, maybe a Google or an Amazon, they're more interested in directing you to the shop next door where you can buy the same product cheaper. And that in itself is kind of amusing to think about, but it can create fragmentation in the rollout of the technology, because the shop may go with a beaconing-based system, the mall may not want to do that because everyone needs access to that data. It shouldn't be confined to just the shop application within the shop. So location is definitely coming. It's indoor, it's scalable to a lot of different technologies, but the application fragmentation, I think is going to really has a potential to hinder the rollout of the technology.
Hi, my name is Alan Natowski. I'm the founder and CEO of Phunware. Phunware may be one of the larger pure-play mobile companies that you're unfamiliar with. We actually pioneered something called the mobile cloud. So at the intersection of the cloud, mobile, and SaaS, we created a platform that'll probably run 1 trillion transactions this year to help really address everything you need to be successful on mobile. Operational headaches ranging from universal login and analytics, all the way through content management, social streams, loyalty and rewards, and other forms of engagement with users. On the monetization side, as we were talking about business models, we focus immensely on the monetization of users on mobile in these anytime, anywhere user bases, wherever they may be. On that, we deal with things like alerts, notifications, cross-promotion, digital and physical commerce, and most importantly, sponsorship and advertising on a first and third-party basis. So if you think about Cisco suggesting that it's detecting, connecting, and engaging, Phunware really focuses on the next wave of the problems, which is we help large brands to engage, manage, and monetize every connected device on the planet. We do this outdoors as well as indoors, and what we try to focus on as it relates to the future of what we see, as you download brands from CBS and NBC or NASCAR or the NFL, any of these very high passion verticals, these are all Phunware products that we build the application experience, we manage the back end, and we help them monetize that. So as we get into venues, we think this is the sort of holy grail of the next evolution of what's going to happen. And we feel like we're uniquely qualified to address these. So if you think of everything in the world being defined as a geofence with an X, a Y, and a Z coordinate, what do you do with that geofence? What are the business rules? What are the workflow and policy enforcement that you want to see happen? Very different if you're walking into the entrance of the Bellagio in Las Vegas than if you are at the San Francisco 49ers Stadium versus the Grove in Los Angeles for a great retail experience. So the name Phunware literally came from applications that exhibit game-like mechanics and behavior. So we combined a group of folks that normally never work together. A bunch of folks out of the gaming industry, fun, playful, engaging, addictive experiences, overlaid that with folks that were out of the telephony, networking, and infrastructure domain from Cisco, Alcatel, and Nortel. Our view is that all users on Earth really don't care about the technology. That might be heresy to say here. None of the users care about anything but the experience. They care about the core value or utility of what you're going to provide, and they want whatever they want, wherever they're at, right now. And if you can't deliver that to them, they'll find someone who will. So a lot of ways we think of ourselves at Phunware like BASF. We don't make the plastic, we make it stronger. We don't make the color, we make it brighter. What we're really doing is we don't make the chips, we don't make the connected devices from smartphones, tablets, television, wearable computing, in-car infotainment, or digital signage. What we actually do is make them all better. And once you can make them more easy to engage, our goal in life is to reduce the ROI associated with the massive CapEx investment going into deploying the network, the gear, and the infrastructure needed to engage those audiences, and ideally to turn the OpEx part of that equation into being budget neutral or even accretive. So the biggest thing that we're focusing on is, with 90% of all applications being free or freemium, somebody ultimately has to subsidize or pay for that content or that high-value touch point. And so what we do is use the geofence to trigger how a brand wants to engage that audience. I would suggest as we get into what are these killer apps, there is no really killer feature for indoor location. It depends on the context of the user. If they don't know where they're going in a large retail mall, wayfinding and navigation is critical. If you know where you're going, what's critical may be at a casino that you want to place a bet while you're at the pool instead of having to go to a sports book. If you're at a grocery store, it may be to most efficiently find what the offerings might be. So what we try to do is to create an agnostic system defined by a geofence so that we can create applications that will engage the users. And in fact, over almost 5 years of doing this, we found that the average Phunware experience with the back end that we manage is 5 times more engaging than any other application in the world. And as we see the evolution of all these technologies, we too agree that it's going to be a combination of a lot of technologies. But much like in the voice over IP domain, nobody really cares about the technology. What they just want it to do is work. They want, if you phone somebody, you want to make that call and they answer. Similarly, if you use an application, you just want the technology infrastructure to work, and that's really what we're trying to focus on.